Man. Finally. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wednesday. There was a Nintendo Direct today. We actually did a reaction video. It's over on Stephen Plays if you haven't seen it. I recommend it. It's fun. And also you get to see us react to the fact that EarthBound is on the Nintendo Switch. We figured it was probably just a matter of time before EarthBound came to Nintendo Switch Online.
Yeah.
Getting Mother 1 was
a surprise.
A little bit of a surprise, but a nice little bonus.
I mean, they did have it because of the last time they released it.
Yeah, I kind of thought that they were going to hold off on it, but, now, actually, before they even revealed it, was like, I wonder if they'll release Mother 1 as well, and they did. So, you can play both EarthBound and EarthBound Beginnings.
EarthBound Beginnings
today.
is hard.
Yeah.
I loaded it up, and I played to the first city.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, well, it's,
I've only beaten it once, and it was, like, 2009.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, save stating my way through a lot of it.
Well,
because it's hard.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit. So first off, we're obviously very excited because, and if maybe you don't know this, Mal and I originally met because of EarthBound. We were both fans of the game and met on starman.net, which is a fan site for EarthBound. So obviously the game holds a very special place in both of our hearts. We're excited for it to come out. I mean, for one, so yeah, we can play it again, which is nice. But then also because there's so many other people who have wanted to play it, and there's not really a good accessible way to do so. The carts have skyrocketed. They are hundreds and hundreds of dollars to get a EarthBound cart. And it has been re-released on the new 3DS and the Wii U, but those systems are now, deprecated and getting a hold of those systems and then playing it on them is a little more difficult than just playing it on the Switch. It was also on the SNES Classic, but they're not selling those anymore. So being on the Switch just makes sense, and it's really, really cool because so many folks have wanted to play it and have mentioned it to me about wanting to play it, and now they finally get to. And your sister's one of those people.
Yeah, around the time Animal Crossing came out, she played it, and she's like, how do I play EarthBound? And I was like, well,
you can't.
You really can't.
It's dumb. So now there is a official legal way to play EarthBound in a modern format, and having it on the Switch is really nice. So I thought today would be good. For one, to talk about that, but then also maybe just give a few quick tips
about EarthBound?
About EarthBound, because there's going to be a lot of folks that are looking forward to it and want to play it, and they're maybe looking for just a tiny bit of assistance before jumping in. So
the thing we've always said for years about it is take your time, talk to people. The charm of it is in the things people say that you might have to go out of your way to talk to. Talk to multiple times even.
Yeah, you want to really soak in the experience.
Yeah.
Is my takeaway. Most of the charm of EarthBound is in the NPC dialogue and the environments. And, I don't want to tell anyone that they're playing the game wrong, but if you're rushing through the game, you're not experiencing what the game is intended to be. Really try and imagine yourself as the kid on the adventure going around the world and just soak it all in and talk to everyone, because you only get to really experience EarthBound once. So take your time. That's the biggest takeaway, is talk to everyone, take your time. And the good news is, if you do that, we don't really have to give a whole lot of tips and tricks, because you'll learn everything that you need to learn. There's little things about how the encounter system works. EarthBound has a really interesting encounter system where all of the sprites that you're going to fight are on screen. So it's not like a Final Fantasy game where you're just randomly in a battle. You'll see the enemy coming at you. Depending on whether you're facing towards or away from the enemy, or if they're facing towards or away from you, dictates things within the battle. It's a really cool battle system, but if you're talking to everyone,
someone will tell you.
You'll learn about it. Same thing with a good early tip for new players of EarthBound is that you're going to find different weapons that you can equip. Every character in the game has like a particular style of weapon. For Ness, it's baseball bats. But you also find some other weapons that you can equip, such as yo-yos or slingshots, etc. And those other weapons, they have high attack power, but they're not very accurate. And it doesn't tell you that when you're buying the weapons, but I think someone nearby the first time maybe mentions it. If not, there's your little warning, is that if you end up buying a slingshot, it'll say, hey, this has a lot of attack power, and it does, but you may end up missing some shots as a result.
The other cool thing I think that EarthBound has going for it that you don't see is the Hint Man.
Yes. The EarthBound is very unique in that if you get stuck, you almost certainly will not need to look at a walkthrough. There is a character in the game who charges you a fee, and if you ever get stuck, you can find him in almost any town, pay his fee, and he will literally tell you what to do next. So it's really cool. I would urge you, if you can, completely avoid a walkthrough and just try to talk to everyone, soak it all in, and if you get stuck, utilize the Hint Man's services. The other thing is that EarthBound is actually really fantastic in that it basically requires no grinding. There's a lot of video games, a lot of RPGs where you have to spend a lot of time in an area and fight in order to get strong enough. EarthBound is paced really, really well.
Yeah.
Where if you're going through the game at a normal speed, you will never have to spend time in an area fighting. You can just keep going.
I find that if you don't avoid fights because of the on-screen, off-screen trick.
Yeah.
Like if you see something and you're like, I'll fight it, instead of trying to avoid battles, then it's paced well. But if you're like, I don't want to fight anything, and you're trying to trick your way around stuff, then you're going to be under-leveled. Yeah.
The only time I think in the game that you may have to, grind, and it would be very minimal, is right at the beginning. And the tip I'll give for you is that early on, one of your first boss fights will be Frank. You need to be probably level 5 or 6. 6 would be better to fight Frank. And that's it. At that point, I really don't think there's any more grinding in the game. So, make sure you're at the appropriate level to fight him at the beginning. But other than that, you should be able to just walk through the game as long as you're not running from fights. That being said, you did bring up a good point. Folks may not be familiar with this, especially if they're younger and they're not familiar with the limitations of the Super Nintendo. One of the things that you can do if you're working through an area, maybe you're low on health and you need to get out before you get, murdered, is you can actually wander off screen. And if an enemy wanders off screen, there's a good chance that enemy won't be there whenever you return. Within the limitations of the Super Nintendo or the Super Famicom, the sprites on screen can only be so many. So if you wander off screen and an enemy disappears, when you come back, that enemy will be gone, which is really, really helpful, especially if you go in one room and another.
Yeah.
That'll also do it. So if there's a bunch of enemies and you're like, oh, I don't want to deal with that.
Or there's an enemy you're like, oh gosh, this one? I'm real tired of fighting these because of this.
Yeah, you can actually use that to your advantage, where you can kind of wander so they just are off screen a little bit and then come back down and they'll be gone. So that's really helpful at some points in the game, because it might just be a little much at that time, so you want to skip that. And that's about it.
Yeah.
Honestly, really soak it in. EarthBound is, I'm sure it's not a game for everyone, but I think a lot of people would get a lot out of it. It's not terribly difficult, and it's not terribly long. If you're talking to everyone, maybe 20 hours, maybe 20 to 25 hours if you're really, really, really soaking it in. But it's a good experience.
Yeah.
It really is. It's a genuinely good game. It is aged really well, and it has a lot of unique things that make it, truly a spectacular role-playing game. The scrolling hit points, the prey mechanic.
Yeah.
Mirror. Yeah, there's a lot of really cool things about it. And with so many new people picking it up today and playing it, I hope these tips help you, and I hope you have fun with it. Because
first time I played it,
good.
I cried at the end.
Yeah. When the first time I played, I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I cried because I loved the game so much, and knowing that I had beaten it and it was over was like, that was a little sad. Yeah. Although one of the nice things about EarthBound is that and it's one of the only games that does this, is that there's post game.
Yeah.
Like once you're all said and done with it, you actually get a chance to wander around a little bit, which is nice.
And you can talk to people, and a lot of them, most of them have new dialogue.
Almost every character in the game has new dialogue after the game ends.
You can go to anywhere.
Yeah.
Basically.
So it's really cool. The game does a lot of unique things, and I hope you enjoy it. And some of you are probably wondering, should I play EarthBound Beginnings first? No. Don't. Do not do that. Don't. You're gonna be tempted because you're like, oh, it's the first one. I should play him. Nope. Just don't do it.
Nope.
Don't do it. Play EarthBound because you'll like EarthBound, and then
if you want a history lesson, because that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's not.
It's really
not
rough.
A fun time. It's a history lesson.
Yeah. It's not that the game is necessarily bad, but it's definitely a product of its time.
Yes.
I always recommend folks play EarthBound first, and then Mother 3, and then if you're still interested and you want the history lesson, play EarthBound Beginnings or play Mother 1. There's a different translation out there too. Yeah. I hope this vlog is helpful for folks.
Yeah.
I'm really happy that the game is out.
I've already seen a lot of comments on the reaction video and on the Patreon Discord of people who are like, I'm so excited to play it because of you guys, and I'm excited to experience it. So
soak it in, take your time. It is very much a game that is meant to be savored. Talk to everyone you can, and I think you'll have a really good time. I think you'll enjoy yourselves. And if you're a first-time EarthBound player, let us know in the comments of this video. We wish you well. There's so many folks that watch the vlogs that are EarthBound veterans, because there's a lot of folks that have been watching the vlogs for a long time, and maybe even know Mal and I from the Starman.net days. So
we know you're out there. We recognize your names.
We know your usernames. So enjoy EarthBound, enjoy the game, and maybe someday, possibly, you'll get a chance to play Mother 3 officially as well.
I have hope still. I mean, what was that one that came out today that was like...
Yeah.
Live Alive?
Yeah. And, we are seeing this more and more where some of these games are getting, re-released or remade, and it does make you wonder if some of that could be a possibility for the future. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. Okay, it's a long one, but hopefully you learned some things. Thanks for watching, and as always, let's meet back tomorrow, shall we?